What is going on, you pheasants, and welcome back to the channel. Well, today's the day. We're going to start Project Georgia. So I've got several $100s worth of parts we're going to start tearing into her, and I've got stuff set up behind me. I'm going to try my best to film as much as possible, but it's not exactly very easy to do. But we're going to dig into it. We're going to drop the oil, we're going to drop the coolant, and I think the first thing I'm going to try to go after is the oil filter housing gasket. So let's do it. Oil filter, nope, sorry. Drain nut is a 17 mil. Whoa, that's really tight. Okay, should not be that tight, but we got her. As you can see, this thing is dirty. We got some oil leaks to address. I think oil filter housing is the first one. Oil's not too bad. Looks like it was changed somewhat recently. Don't see any glitter, so that is always a good sign. We're gonna go ahead and let her drain. Oh, my cap's floating away. Let her drain for a while, and then we're gonna drop the coolant. In order to drain the coolant, got a little plug right here at the bottom of the radiator. You can see we do have green coolant, which is incorrect per BMW. We're supposed to have blue, and at the top of the radiator there's a crack. So that will be getting changed as well. But I don't have that. That's a new discovery, as I will show you shortly. Just need a flathead to get this plug started. I'm gonna move this GoPro back so it doesn't get doused in coolant. These lines are going to be away in the tube. And right here, which lighting is fantastic, but right here there's a spot. I don't know if looks like a crack / rub mark, but that's where the coolant's been leaking from, which I haven't been driven this vehicle. Well, I've driven it a few times, like 3 times, so for a short little around the blocks, I'm not too worried about it. It didn't make too much of a mess, but I believe this radiator is going to get replaced. So I want to remove the air box so I can get access to the oil filter housing, so I can replace the gasket. And doing so, I've got to remove this line out of the way just because it'll make my life a little bit easier. And then I'm going to replace the coolant expansion tank as well, so that'll go at some point. But it looks like I got a connection here. This is already loose. MAF is already loose. I need to unclip these. There we go. All right. Alright, airbox is out of the car, so that was very easy. Just this one bolt right there, a 10mm, and I'm gonna go ahead and take this line off next. And then alternator has to be removed, and we'll keep plugging along. So now I'm working on removing the power steering fluid reservoir. which this cap is quite tight, but it's just two 13 millimeters. I'm gonna try to kind of wiggle this out of the way, and I'm probably gonna remove this top radiator hose because I do have a new one, and that'll help drain more coolant out of the system, which removing the reservoir in this line helped as well. And like you can see, this is cracked right here. Yep, definitely time for a new radiator. So glad that we're gonna do it. Yeah, start. I got one off, we're gonna do the next one. So with these 13 millimeters removed, this thing just plops out of the way. I do see some kind of light seepage coming from the bottom, so we'll clean that up and maybe give these hose clamps a little snug, but I'm gonna remove this top radiator hose now. So with the hose off, we can kind of get a little better state of what this cooling system is in, and well, there's a reason why we like to change all the cooling stuff in these older BMWs, because it doesn't hold up very well. You can see general corrosion. Wow, this neck is incredibly fragile, as I just broke more pieces off of it. Right here is your filter or thermostat housing. That's going to get changed, as well as the thermostat within it. So making good progress. Next, I'm going to probably go disconnect the battery and remove the alternator. So I figured, I mean, it'd be nice to get the belt off, and in order to get the belt off, I want to remove the fan clutch nut, aka actually just the fan clutch itself and the fan, a mechanical fan. And I actually bought a little device that's supposed to help you. The first thing I did was you line up these two holes right here on the water pump pulley, and when I got it loose, I had it lined up so that it was on both of them, but now that it's, or when it was tight I had it lined up on there, but now that it's loose it won't line up, but it should be good right here. I've got one in there, and then I got against the valve cover right here, but, or the head, and then you're going to take your second tool with your other hands, and you're going to use this to come in here and loosen the nut. And it is clockwise, so it's a reverse thread, and mine was not tight, but now that it's loose, you just spin it off. So getting the actual fan out is nearly impossible without removing the shroud, the fan shroud. So in order to remove the fan shroud, it's just two pop rivets essentially, and they go into right here. You just lift up this with a screwdriver, and then once it's lifted up, you just go on the back side of it right here, and you just pop it out. And then you're going to want to remove the fan and shroud together. And once you do that, really easy, very easy actually. And now we got some room to play with. But whoa, I see interesting signs here. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'd say that's been loose before at some point. That might have been actually rubbing against this radiator. Okay. Interesting. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and, well, I need to figure out how to loosen this belt with the tensioner being down here. I'm not quite sure how to do that. So, when removing the belts, what I initially thought was just one belt. Sorry, there's a train in the background. What I originally thought was just one belt, it's actually two. And one belt runs your alternator. There's an idler right here. Got a belt on the harmonic balancer, the water pump, and I believe this would be power steering. And so, normal tensioner, a spring load one, it uses a Torx. It was a T45 right here, T45, and then you just crank on it. I don't remember which way you crank on it, but it's pretty easy. And then going underneath the vehicle, your second belt, which is attached to the harmonic balancer, as well as your AC compressor, it has a hydraulic tensioner, which is this pulley right here, and it takes a 5/16 hex, and then you turn it clockwise, which brings the tensioner, it pretty much forces it this way, and then you can remove the belt. So I have this tensioner, but I don't have the top tensioner, so I'm gonna have to add that to my purchase list. But there's definitely some play in that pulley, as well as the top one. Alright, so the alternator is just about out of the way. It's actually free. You've got a longer bolt here, which I'm trying to show to the best of my ability with my lighting source. But you got a longer bolt here, then a shorter bolt right here that goes through right there. And then here is your longer bolts and your shorter one. The top bolt, bottom bolt. So I'm actually going to remove the alternator from the vehicle totally. There is a nut on the back side of your hot wire. It's just going to make my life a little bit easier to remove this oil filter housing. So with the alternator on the vehicle, you just have a connection right here. Connection right here, and then a 13mm nut that is holding on to this positive wire. So we got lots of room now. Let's start taking off this oil filter housing. So making good progress. The actual oil filter housing itself is loose. You've got a bolt here, a bolt there, bolt, and a bolt right here. And then I removed the top tensioner, which is just 2 bolts. And then I believe I need to remove the power steering pump off of the oil filter housing. So that is what I'm going to work on next. And here's the growing pile of bad parts. But yeah, here's the top tensioner itself. You can see it's a T40 bolt that holds on the pulley. And then you know if a pulley is bad or worn out if it spins and spins, very loose. So to separate the oil filter housing and the power steering pump, there's just these 2 bolts up here. Now it's free. You can see it kind of just sits right in here. You're gonna have a longer and a shorter bolt. This is gonna be your longer one, that's gonna be your shorter one. And now I just need to remove this top banjo bolt, and this oil filter housing is free to come out. So my train of thought here is that I'd rather take off this banjo bolt. It's a 19mm, by the way. I'd rather take that off rather than trying to go on the back side and take it off over here. If you can kind of see, right? Yeah, you can't really see. Maybe you can. I don't know. Anyways, so I'm taking off the thermostat housing, and it is a 13 right here, and then a 10 right here, and there's a 10 on the back side, somewhere in there. And yeah, so that's your 13, those are your 2 10s. Can't screw that up too much. Alright, so I lied. Technically there are 3 10mm, so this would be your 13, 1, 2, and then 3 on the back. And then this hose goes towards the middle of the radiator, and it's just held on by a hose clamp. I went ahead and just took that off rather than trying to screw with this clamp and trying to fight this connection, because usually those are rather difficult, versus this one was pretty easy. So now with that off, this banjo bolt will be nice and easy to get off. Making good progress. Wow, you guys. I'm gonna have to get like a headband or something, or a bandana, because the hat is annoying and then the hair is annoying, but anyways, oil filter housing is out, and well, there's a lot of oil there that shouldn't be there. Granted, I did remove, you know, the housing, and some probably drained out, but I do think I found the source of our major oil leak. My goodness, there's a lot. And it's in the locomotive world, when traction motors leak, we call it washing, where essentially there's so much oil that's being drained, it's actually washing the surface and making it clean. There's no dirt that can cling to it, and there's definitely a sign of that when looking in this area. So well, like, this is the actual spot for the oil filter. So yeah, it's definitely leaking. I'm gonna definitely do some cleaning. I still have the water pump to remove, as well as the other tensioner down there, but that's the majority of what needs to come out. I do have a valve cover gasket to do, so I might do that, just kind of see how it goes, but I'm gonna have to order a few things. So on FCP, the kit for the oil filter housing gasket comes with a new oil line, new banjo bolt and washers. It comes with new pressure sensors. I don't think it comes with bolts, but here you can see again, these are just the bolts that holds it in place, and then you've got where the power steering pump attaches to on the bottom. But wow, very cool. So, and this will get cleaned as well, and then I've been kind of labeling a few things that I've taken out so far. I'll add to these bags, but your top tensioner bolts and alternator bolts. But here I'll make a bag for thermostat, and then these are the power steering. So I'll make a few more bags. Here's a banjo bolt. But yeah, went great. You know, it took a couple hours, but I did take off probably more than I needed to, but yeah, I'm okay with that. There's a lot to replace, so sweet. So the water pump pulley is off right here. That is garbage. I have a new one. I had to use the fan removal nut tool in order to get the last bolt off. I couldn't hold on to the pulley itself and then also loosen the nut, so, or bolt I mean. So I had to use the tool, but it worked. So now I have to, there's 4 bolts for the water pump, and then you can see right here there is a spot where you can put in a 10mm bolt, and it'll essentially separate this joint right here, separate the water pump from this housing. So that's what we're gonna do next. All right, the water pump is officially out. Just this little guy, but so the plastic impeller is actually prone to fail, and when it fails, it explodes essentially and sends plastic pieces throughout your cooling system, and then it will stop. Your water pump will stop pumping water, and your engine will overheat. So the fix for this is a new water pump with a metal wheel. So that has been an upgrade that I've purchased, and I don't know if I'll be installing it today or not, but pretty cool. This is going to be in the junk pile. Next up, I'm going to try to remove the radiator. I see 2 plastic pieces here, and then I got a bracket right here as well as something underneath. I'm guessing trans line cooler is my guess. It could be power steering cooler, I'm not quite sure, but we're gonna try to remove this radiator next. Alright, so I've got the cooler drop down. You're gonna need a small 8mm ratcheting wrench, preferably. Yeah, you're gonna absolutely want one because of this right there. That guy it's too close, the clearance is too close to this condenser, so you can't fit in a normal socket, and you're gonna, and then this right here makes your life a little bit more difficult if you don't have a ratcheting wrench. So I recommend having an 8mm for this job. Alright, but those are both loose. There's 4, 2 on the bottom, 2 at the top, which is now falling through. But now I need to figure out how this works. So that was definitely one of the more difficult things, I'd say, to get out of the job so far. It's actually a simple concept, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. But basically, I've got this tab right here, and it actually sits in this rubber boot, and that's what keeps the radiator from flopping towards your engine. So while it's actually, you know, simple, man, it's a pain in the butt to get off, because you just have to pry on this. And I will say, I did feel like I was gonna break it, but I didn't. Both sides I got. Maybe like soapy water or something to kind of help those two separate from each other. But I mean, I got it. It wasn't fun, but now there you go. She lifts right off. Yeah, cool. Definitely a pain. Got these rubber grommets that sit right there, which the radiator wasn't even sitting on, so I don't know, maybe it could be a little bit better design, but right there is where it's cracked. Or yeah, I mean, you can tell there's definitely a crack there, but it's seen better days, to say the least. I'm not sure if that's from someone putting the fan in and not knowing how to do it, or the fan was loose at some point. But yeah, so definitely a good thing that we're replacing this. This will go in the garbage pile. We'll order a new one tonight. I'll probably take these off just in case I don't get new ones, but yeah, not too bad. But wow, look at all this room I got in here. It's awesome. Very cool. I mean, that pretty much concludes the whole teardown, really. Oh man, I don't know what time I started at 11. Yeah, 10:30, 11, and now it's 2:25. So, you know, I got 3.5, 4 hours in her. But man, not a bad job. Now, you know, the fun part: clean and start reassembling. Oh, I still need to take off this tensioner, because I do know for sure that I have this one. So alright, well, that'll be next. Take off this tensioner, and then I'll probably call it a day. This thing's pretty easy. Just got 1, 2, 3, and then a 4th bolt, which is this, and it is a 6 hex. So, which these bolts aren't in too bad of condition. Probably because this is not a dirty area. Oh goodness. And move that out of the way. And flop. So I'm just putting this tensioner back together. It's pretty simple. I kind of took that one apart for fun. Also kind of thinking that I had to for this one, but you don't. Everything comes pretty much pre-assembled. You scan the box if you use Schaeffler, and then it takes you to some instructions on assembly. And of course you get everything that you need with the kit. So very well done. So we're gonna go ahead and put this on the Beamer, and this is technically the first new part. So I think, yeah, I'm gonna count it. I'm gonna count it as the new part. All right, let's do it. Oh, you know how I was talking about how a new pulley, new bearing, shouldn't just spin and spin and spin? Well, here's a prime example. there's actually resistance, which is what you want. And of course it's super smooth and feels great, but it actually just doesn't spin. All right. Well, I'm ending the day kind of confused. I don't know. First of all, this coolant expansion tank, which was on the vehicle when I first purchased it, is actually Molle, so it's been replaced. Code is 2020. The one that I have is 2021, so yeah, it's fine, whatever. This wasn't very expensive. I'll just put the new one in there, but the new one doesn't come with a cap, and this cap is not quite right in my opinion. Probably can't get this on one hand. When you take this cap off, well, I don't think it's supposed to do that. I mean, it looks like this is all supposed to be one piece, and basically if this ever gets to 200 pounds or whatever, it'll relieve pressure, but this cap has, I'm guessing, come apart. I want to say motorcycle. It did sound like a big displacement motor. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. I'm confused. But I don't think this. I think this cap is broken, and I think that maybe should have come with a cap, and it didn't. And then to add on top of the confusion, I think this tensioner is incorrect versus the one that came off the car. The mounting is different, and the location of the pulley is different. So, long story short, I'm gonna have to call FCP tomorrow morning and ask some questions. So, well, we made a lot of progress, as you can tell by the mess that I now have to kind of organize and clean up. Engine is torn apart, ready to be cleaned. I'm ready to be cleaned as well. My goodness, I'm filthy. I do like the GoPro in this manner. It is nice and easy to talk to. I can, flip around really fast. I do like that. But so, yeah, I got more parts to order. I'm gonna get probably this new line. I'm gonna get a new line, new radiator, of course, and that's it for now. Oh, another weird thing is it has a water level sensor or a coolant level sensor, but I don't see a spot over here that has a plug. Like when I removed it, there was no plug attached to it. So with a light, I need to go and kind of fish around and look for something. But anyways, well, thank you for watching this video. If you stuck around to the end, I don't really know how long it's gonna be, to be honest. I've got like 30 clips or whatever to sort through, but it was pretty fun, actually. Yeah, it's not quite perfect. I can't film, every nut and bolt that I turn, but I tried. So thanks guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video, and well, this is the end of Project Georgia video 1.